your entitled, neighborhood-friendly Karen and Kayleigh. During my teenage years, I lived in a neighborhood with a community board, and the lady across the street from my family's house was the president. I don't know if that's how it works in other countries, but that was how it was in mine, and I'll call the board president Karen. Karen had a 5 or 6-year-old daughter, who I'll call Kayleigh, and, while I love children, that kid traumatized me so much I am still afraid of raising a daughter like her. Kayleigh came to my house nearly every single day, demanding that I and my mom play with her while her mom was doing something else. No, it wasn't that either of us had a job as her babysitter. She just wandered across the street to our house while her mom wasn't watching her. Karen never kept enough of an eye on her to know where she went, but she always guessed she was at our house because she and my mom were somewhat friends, and she thought that meant we were free babysitters. When I tell you that this kid came whenever, I mean whenever. Day, night, during a blackout. And most times, she stayed until sundown. Or worse, until midnight. Even then, Karen did not attempt to look for her. And yes, Kayleigh was apparently allowed to stay awake until so late at night. And the worst part is that she stayed awake. Kayleigh would go wherever we told her not to go inside our house, demand we give her some of my old stuff, or even the ones I was still using at that time. And she wanted us to take her to the park at night often. We weren't the only ones affected. She would go to other neighbors' houses hoping they would buy her burgers, and she was caught forcing boys her age to kiss her on the lips while she was there. Karen never stopped or reprimanded her, and never went to pick her up when people told her to. But here's the thing. My mom and I used to have an underground home reserve tank at our house, a water tank that everyone knew about. The tank had a lid on the front yard that we used to refill it. One day, we were refilling it when another neighborhood mom walked by and said to us, "Careful with that. It is dangerous to have it open when the kids are around." The kids weren't around, but that's not the point. This other mom was coming out of Karen and Kayleigh's house, and Karen marched outside, like the mighty community board president that she was, scolding my mom for having our home reserve tank open. My mom tried to remind her our reserve tank had always been there, and everybody knew about it. It wasn't the first time we had opened it, and we were done refilling it that day, so it was closed by the time she reached our house. Karen doubled down, saying she didn't want us to open our tank anymore. My mom said that wasn't going to happen. We had the permits for it, and we warned people multiple times that they shouldn't let their children around the tank. Karen was having none of it and told my mom that just because they were friends, it didn't mean we could do whatever we wanted around the neighborhood. The thing about my mom is, she had quite a temper. She went ballistic on Karen in the middle of the street, telling her how much of a lousy board president she was, that she had no legal grounds to tell us what to do with the reserve tank, and that she was the entitled one since she expected the whole neighborhood to act as her stay-in nannies and take care of her absolute terror of a toddler. Karen didn't have a comeback for all that, but she yelled for her entitled goblin to hear. "Kayleigh, you can't go to OP's house anymore." I know she thought that was a way to punish my mom, but my mom raised her arms in the air to scream, "Yes, thank God." Needless to say, Kayleigh didn't come to our house anymore, and my mom and Karen weren't friends after that either. I've met my fair share of entitled people, but I remembered these two were something special. I think about Kayleigh sometimes, and I hope she is doing okay.